Hello everyone, this is James George with Web Design Blog, and this is the first edition of Web Design Blog, and today we're going to talk about Bootstrap. Now, if you're not familiar with Bootstrap, Bootstrap is by the developers from Twitter, and they have decided to create a mobile-first front-end framework that makes it really easy and fast for you to develop responsive websites. Now, as with anything, everybody always sort of gets intimidated by new frameworks and things like that, and some people just shy away from them altogether. But this is sort of the first in a series that I'm going to do, and it's getting started with Bootstrap. And there's a lot of things to think about with Bootstrap, and hopefully by the end of the series, you'll understand Bootstrap and why it can really help you build websites quickly. Okay, so you have Bootstrap here, getbootstrap.com. And the public version that they are giving to everyone from the front end is 2.3.2. And everybody really likes that, and a lot of people are afraid to adopt the third version because they make some changes in it, and I can sort of see where they're coming from, because they changed some things in there, and some things are easier in 3, and then some things get a little more complicated in 3. But I'll talk about that later. First, I want to show you what Bootstrap is and how you can set it up. Okay, so it's really easy. You know, they have download Bootstrap, download source. And so what they're actually giving away Bootstrap 3 from here now. You could see via, if you look down here, it'll tell you version 3.0.2. And so that's good. It keeps everybody on the current version. A lot of people still want 2.3 though, because they don't like the way that they have done the columns. In 2.3, it was a 12-column system, and it still is, and that's the best because it gives you flexibility. But before it was a span 1, span 2, span 3, span 4, span 5, and that's span whatever was how many columns you had. Now in 3, they've set it up to where you have column medium 3, column medium 4, column small 4, column small, so you got small, medium, and large mixed in with the columns. And so that is sort of confusing a lot of people. But it's not as bad as you think, and they actually document what the differences are and why you would want to use small, medium, and large. And so if you just download Bootstrap, it will give you the main components of Bootstrap. And so what it's going to give you is it's going to give you the whole package of Bootstrap and why you would want, everything that you're going to need to build your first mobile-first site using Bootstrap. And so I'm just going to double-click the zip file and open it up. And it gives you a distribution file. And so from here, it gives you the JavaScript files, the CSS files, and the fonts. And the fonts are just the glyph icons that are part of the Bootstrap package. And the CSS files are all the Bootstrap CSS files, and then you've got the Bootstrap theme file. This is what you want to pay attention to, because they don't want you to alter the Bootstrap and Bootstrap Min CSS files. What they want you to do is use the Bootstrap theme CSS to put in your own CSS, because when you create your first document, you're going to put Bootstrap theme CSS at the very bottom so that it overrides, in your CSS stack when you tell it what cascading style sheets you're going to use. Bootstrap theme.css is going to go at the bottom, so that any changes that you make to the layout and the style, padding, colors, anything is going to override the basic Bootstrap design. So that way you don't have cookie cutter websites that just look the same no matter what you do. You know, you can create all kinds of great looking sites that are completely customized, just like any other framework. And then you also have the JavaScript files. And so I'll just give you a look into one that I've built on the sister site Creative Beacon. I just recently started giving away a free website template called Beacon Bootstrap. And so it was made completely with Bootstrap. And I'm just going to open up the index file in Dreamweaver and show you how it's set up. And, you know, this whole website is just basically 5 pages: an about, a contact page, 2 different gallery layouts, and the home page, the index.html page. And it's really pretty simple how this is set up, and it'll take a few minutes for Bootstrap to open up, or for the file to open up in Dreamweaver. Dreamweaver takes a second or two to open up. But in the meantime, I'm going to show you some things with the Bootstrap website. They actually have a Getting Started section where it shows you how to get started with Bootstrap and what you need to do. And you can download a precompiled Bootstrap. And there's no fonts, there's no nothing. It's just your basic Bootstrap. You can also get the source code. You can also clone it or fork it via GitHub, or you can install it with Bower. You know, I'm not going to cover all that because I just basically want to show you how to set it up on your own system to start developing Bootstrap websites quickly. And this tells you that they serve the Bootstrap CSS and JavaScript via a Max CDN content delivery network, and so it gives you the links to connecting to the latest CSS and JavaScript for Bootstrap. So that way, if they change it or make if they make changes to it, then they'll automatically update on your website, because they'll obviously update it on the versions that are served on Max CDN. And it breaks down the files that are included when you download Bootstrap. So, if I were you, what I would do is the first place I would start after you download Bootstrap is Getting Started, because it will run through everything that's included with Bootstrap. You can sit down and read it and really get an understanding of how it's set up, how to set up your template, the basic HTML template, how to set up your CSS and JavaScript, and it even gives you some examples of page layouts and things like that, so that you can just play around with it and you can really get your feet wet with it, which is nice because, you know, it's kind of intimidating to jump head first into something, but being able to look at a template, look at how things are structured. To me, anyway, it's easier to understand how it works if I can see it working and put all the pieces together. That's sort of how my mind works. You may be different, but with me, that's how it helps me to understand the whole pie if I can understand each slice along with it. And so they go through grids, how to use a jumbotron, an arrow jumbotron, navbar, all kinds of different stuff. And it's really nice, and it shows you like the buttons and the things like that. And it's really easy to set this up. You can disable responsiveness, which I don't really understand any reason why you would want to disable responsiveness, because to me, that is the whole point of Bootstrap. So I didn't even look at this paragraph. And then it's got a section on migrating from 2 point whatever to 3, and it shows you the differences. And so they simplified some of these, and then, like I said, some of them they made more complicated. Like for one, you know, container-fluid is now just container. That's a lot easier to me. Row fluid is now row. Span is now column medium. Then you could create offset layouts with column medium offset. And so then you have the differences and the similarities between each of these. So nav toggle is nav bar toggle. Button nav bar is now nav bar button. Hero unit is now Jumbotron. I don't know where they get the names for these, but that's... I always thought that was funny. But it just goes through the list down here of the differences between 2 point whatever to 3. And then it even shows you the stuff that's new in 3. And they've added new elements and changed existing ones. And there's all kinds of different offsets and input groups, and just this is I'm not going to cover this, but this is all stuff that you will want to look at so that you can understand the really interesting things that you could do with Bootstrap just with a class. And that's fantastic. Just being able to create a div or a container and add a class to it makes it that format, and then you can customize it via CSS inside your own theme.css style sheet, which is absolutely wonderful. Okay, so that's up, and I'm just going to look at it. Shows you what's removed, what's been removed from Bootstrap, and then it gives you additional notes. Browser support. It covers all this stuff that you'll want to, and Internet Explorer 8 is pretty much the juggernaut of not being supported, which is fine. You know, I didn't really pay attention to Internet Explorer 8, but that's just me. And but if you do want to consider Internet Explorer 8, it talks about respond.js and things that you can look into. And it even breaks down other Internet Explorer issues, modal and mobile devices, third-party support, accessibility, all kinds of different stuff. Customizing see, this is you'll want to pay attention to this, because customizing Bootstrap will show you all the different things that you can do to customize Bootstrap and set it up just how you want. And so you can customize your button classes and how everything is styled and what it looks like, and text shadows, and you could really add a lot of depth to your site. And completely, it won't, you know, everything doesn't have to look like the initial Bootstrap websites with the blue and orange and green buttons that are typical of Bootstrap. You can style it and customize it however you want, and it breaks it down via customizing components here on their Getting Started page. So I would really recommend looking at Getting Started. It breaks down the CSS and different things you'll want to know about CSS and containers, div class container. Basically, it's where you contain your elements for your site. It talks about the grid system, columns, rows, It breaks down everything that you need to know. And it also breaks down the columns small, extra small, medium, and large. And it even shows you what they do and the differences between them, mixing different columns together to create layouts. It's really simple. The whole grid is based on a 12-column layout. And so anything that you can put together that adds up to 12 can create a row of content. So you can have div class row, and that will go across the entire thing. Or you can have 8 and 4, 4, 4 and 4, 4 3s, 2 6s, anything that you can put together to make 12. And you could really organize your content, and so it's really nice for setting up layouts quickly. And that's where Bootstrap really shines, is being able to create those layouts. And there are other frameworks out there that are based on the 12-column and even 24-column grid. And so you could take a look at those if you want, because Bootstrap isn't the end-all to everything. But I'm just showing you this because it's really handy and interesting. It breaks down clear fix and all these different column issues and how to make columns look how you want them to. And so I'd really take a look at this so you can understand the structure. The typography is the same as any other CSS with headings 1 through 6. And you can, they do have little additions such as adding small to wrapping text in small to get like a grayed out smaller text. And they also have lead copy as well. So you can style things and really make them stand out via these different classes. And you just say P class lead, and you get a different sort of powerful text that could go in like a jumbotron or something like that, and it'll look really nice. And so it just breaks down all that stuff. And now I'm going to hop back over to Dreamweaver and show you about how to set up your style sheets and things like that. And so when you come into this, it's basically you're going to have your Bootstrap CSS, and you're going to have your theme.css. And remember, I said to put that at the very bottom of all your different CSS style sheets, because that's going to override everything. So if you have Bootstrap and Bootstrap.min CSS, then you're going to put theme.css at the very bottom. And then that way, that's where you can override everything. And so, let me see if Bootstrap. Okay, so for example, I've got the theme CSS here for Beacon Bootstrap. I have different style issues that I've added to Bootstrap that make it custom and interesting, such as a custom image background for a jumbotron, which I created, I made to be a lighthouse. And then there are other styles and stuff that I altered to fit the design of my site. So I added like a color white, color blue to certain things, text shadows, and this is theme.css is where you're going to add all that stuff to really customize the look of your Bootstrap site. And that's all it is. It's really easy. So you have the framework of Bootstrap there, and you just add to it and change it and customize it how you want so that it works for you. And that's where I really like Bootstrap and how it's set up. And it's really just a matter of looking at the documentation and where like navigation comes in and how to structure your navigation and where to put your jumbotrons and how you want to lay out the entire site. Everything is wrapped in a container unless you want it to go full width of the entire site. And so you wrap everything in a container, and it will be 12 columns wide. and then you can break things down into different classes like row, column, large 4, column, large 4, column, large 4, and that completes the three-way layout there. And so if I go to preview what this looks like in Firefox, there it is. There's the layout. And this is Beacon Bootstrap, by the way. You can pick it up on creativebeacon.com. I created this for free just for you. All you have to do is enter in your email address and it's there. And so Bootstrap by default doesn't, you know, it has its specific colors and things like that. But you can see here I altered it to have a white button that stands out against the Jumbotron that I actually made to have a sort of sky icy blue background. And then, you know, you have your different classes and layouts here. And, you know, that's pretty much it. And you have your navigation. And this did have the pill look to it just by default, but I took those away because I wanted it to have a pill up on hover instead, and so that it sort of highlights your navigation menu. And you can do anything you want with Bootstrap, and you can even distribute Bootstrap templates and websites and things. The only thing that you have to do is they do have a rule about distributing Bootstrap, and it's you have to include the Bootstrap documentation with it. That's about the only rule that they have. But it's free for personal and commercial use. You can build highly responsive website templates and sell them. It's excellent. One more thing I want to show you before I go is the customize section. This right here, using less, you can customize the look and the build of the Bootstrap setup. And this is where you really just, you can get everything you want and nothing of what you don't want. What I like the most is the ability, now if you create a style guide, and what that is if you decide on certain colors for everything, for your entire site before you even build it. I'm going to have an olive green navigation bar. I'm going to have olive green this. I'm going to have black buttons here, and you know, everything, you know, all of my header text is going to be white. All that stuff via style guide. Beforehand, you can set this up so that you don't even have to override it via theme CSS, because you can set things up right inside of here and have it exactly how you want it. I mean, it's pretty extensive. Tables, toggle, brand links, your nav bar, alerts, form states, everything. All of that. Breadcrumbs, carousel, list group, thumbnails, progress bars, pagination. You know, like the progress bars are a certain color. You can change all that. And then it will compile it and download it. You can download it in the format that exactly how you want it. So you can, if you know ahead of time every style that you're going to set up, which you may have created a mock-up via Fireworks or Illustrator or Photoshop or whatever, or one of those mock-up websites or apps or something like that. If you've decided on your color scheme and the way everything's going to look ahead of time, you can plug in those values here, compile it, and then just download it as is. And it makes it so nice and so easy to develop a website using Bootstrap. So don't hesitate. Download now and get started. I urge you to play around with it. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me at Web Design Blog. Just go on the site and there's a contact form there where you can get in touch with me. I'm James George, and this is a web design video.